They beat the Giants last night by 5. Designated hitter J.D. Martinez drove in 3 runs. The Dodgers are 3.5 games behind Atlanta for the best record and home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Interesting decision Saturday for college football fans in the western part of the country. The Colorado-Oregon game and UCLA's matchup at Utah both have 12:30 p.m. kickoffs. All 4 teams are 3-0 and ranked in the top 25. The UCLA-Utah game is on Fox. ABC is carrying the Colorado-Oregon game. This will be the first Pac-12 conference game for Colorado coach Deion Sanders. 5th-ranked USC has a night game Saturday at Arizona State, 7:30 kickoff on Fox. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
On Monday, October 9th, don't miss the KBLA Talk 1580 exclusive. The tape. 1 year later.
Y'all were coming for us.
Yeah, but Tavis, that's not in my heart. I wasn't coming for anyone like that. I apologize, but that was not me. That's not in my heart. And like I said a few moments ago, I have a solid, demonstrable record of shared power that's real and concrete. That can't be misinterpreted.
Join Tavis Smiley and an all-star panel of political insiders, influencers, and journalists for a look back at the crisis that shook LA City Hall when 4 Latino leaders were caught on tape making racist, demeaning, and derogatory statements about black people and other fellow citizens. On Monday, October 9th, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580, The Tape. 1 year later. We'll broadcast live an afternoon drive from 5 to 7 p.m. with an immediate encore presentation from 7 to 9 p.m. When all was said and done, was more said than done. 1 year later. Are there fractures in LA's black-brown political partnership? And where do we go from here? Don't miss The Tape. 1 year later. Only on KBLA Talk 1580. Monday, October 9th. Live from 5 to 7 p.m. with an immediate encore presentation from 7 to 9 p.m. We've got a lot to talk about.
You know what the bottom line is for black people out here? It's quite simple. You must learn. In a song, let me demonstrate the force of knowledge. Knowledge reigns supreme. The ignorant is ripped to smithereens. What do you mean when you say I'm rebellious? Cause I don't accept everything that you're telling us. What are you selling us? The creator dwelling us. I sit in your unknown class while you're failing us. I failed your class cause I ain't with your reasoning. You're trying to make me you by seasoning. Up my mind with C. Jane Run. C. John walk in a hardcore New York. Come on now, that's like a chocolate cow. It doesn't exist, no way, no how. It seems to me that in a school this ebony, African history should be pumped up steadily, but it's not. And this has got to stop. See spot, run, get spot. Insulting to a black mentality, a black way of life, or a jet black family. So I include with one concern that you must learn.
KBLA Talk 1580. Yes, indeed, someone who's been putting that into practice for decades. She's committed her life to teaching, learning, and scholarship. She's founder and executive director of the Center for Black Literature, director of the National Black Writers Conference, and a professor of English at Medgar Evers College. Dr. Brenda M. Greene, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, Dominique. It's a real pleasure to be on your show and to be able to talk about these pressing issues.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you on, and you have a radio show of your own, which is a plus in itself. You know a thing or two about radio. I think your show is Writers on Writing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And that's also almost 20 years old. I have an opportunity to interview writers about their work, their craft, and their lives. And some of the writers from people we've had at the National Black Writers Conference, some of the writers of people who have written their first books. It's really a wide range, and we've had writers, many of them on our current website. I've interviewed Sonia Sanchez, Walter Mosley, Amiri Baraka. Yes, I've interviewed quite a range. Jacqueline Woodson. Just if you look at Edwidge Thundercat, if you look at our website and you see the writers that we've had over the years, and I think it's really important for writers to tell their own stories, to talk about their craft. My colleague said he feels as if we are sitting in a living room because it's not just question, question, question. I really try to have conversations and to find out what was going on when they're writing the book, what's important to them, what their process is, and why we still need to have them writing and why we need a Center for Black Literature and a National Black Writers Conference.
Yeah, I mean, you said why we still need them. It feels to me like need more than ever. Certainly you come from a scholarly background, not just in your own pursuits and your own teachings and writings, but, as a student, right, as well. And I think it feels like the educational institutions, the actual programs to get us into those educational institutions, the history and the narrative are all under this very strong attack right now.
Most definitely. One of my colleagues used to always say that we have to change the master narrative. Well, we were getting there. We had, of course, the influx of Black studies. We had ethnic studies. We had more movements that really indicated that people were conscious. My colleague, Peniel Joseph, one of the people we're honoring at the National Black Writers Conference, has just written a book called The Third Reconstruction. And what happens during Reconstruction, you have this struggle and the fight to get rights for democracy, to get people, to make people aware and conscious. And then you have this backlash. And so we are witnessing the backlash, and it seems more intense than ever. And we know why. But it's more intense than ever, which means that we have to be much more vigilant about ensuring that we are resisting this backlash. And when they say ban books, we need to get those books and make sure that they're in our schools, they're in our curriculum. I applaud what the Association for the Study of African American Life did. Some people may disagree with it, but they decided to hold their conference in Florida this year to make a stance to say that we're going to come to Florida and support all of the faculty and the teachers who are being silenced, who are not allowed to teach the literature that is part of the Black experience in America. We're going to support you, and we're going to give you a platform to illustrate what you're doing in the schools, to talk about the issues that are affecting us. And you may say, some people will say, well, don't travel there. But they need our support. I mean, how do you have a faculty member having to have her syllabus reviewed by the state and having to take books that represent the stories and experiences of Black women, Black men, Black children, having to take that off the syllabus and being told you cannot teach that. Your students cannot read that. It's worse than it's ever been. It's a real strong backlash.
Yeah, I was reading.
And it reminds us of the first Reconstruction.
Yeah. I was reading about, this is a white teacher, this lady, Mary Wood, who was teaching Ta-Nehisi Coates in her class in the Between the World and Me, and students reported her She got turned in. They said, it made them feel discomfort or guilt or something, which is against the law in her state, which is South Carolina. So it's not just Florida. This is spreading. They said the book was hate propaganda towards white people, one student wrote. Parents were complaining, and she was ordered by the administration to stop teaching. They put a formal letter of reprimand in her file and told her to keep teaching without discussing the issue with her students. Just pull that from the class and act like nothing happened. And we know this kind of thing is happening across the country.
Yes, it is. And it says something about the people in our country, our nation, who really, you wonder, what is their understanding of what it means to be educated? What do they think we are doing in our schools if not teaching people to be critical and analytical thinkers, to raise questions, to look at both sides of an issue, of an argument? That's our role, and so you have a culture where people get their information from only the internet in some cases, or the news, or certain stations they're listening to. And the ability and their willingness to really read deeply and to understand and to examine from multiple issues is gone. It's not being promoted. And the book banning and the silencing of voices of our teachers and the censorship in the libraries, all of that is contributing to this. So it's a real uphill battle, but it's one that we have to stay engaged in.
According to the Washington Post, there are now 18 states that restrict education on race. That happening just since 2021. Talking with Dr. Brenda Greene, and I want to, when we come forward, we'll go deeper into this, but I also want to talk about solutions. You are a proponent, an organizer, an activist, longtime activist in the literature space, and you've got some things that folks can latch onto right now to make a difference. That's coming up. KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
Applications are now being accepted for the City of Los Angeles Emergency Renters Assistance Program. The program provides up to 6 months of rental arrears to low-income residential renters who are at risk of homelessness due to unpaid rent as a result of COVID-19 or other financial hardship. Applications will not be accepted after 6 p.m. on October 2nd, 2023. Go online 24/7 at housing.lacity.org or call 888-379-3150 from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday and see if you qualify. Apply today.
Now. We tend not to think about now. We dream about tomorrow, relive yesterday. But right now in front of us is victory over cancer. Right now, cancer research funded by the V Foundation is leading to better treatments and saving lives. Victory over cancer is there for the taking by you, because today's cancer research is tomorrow's victory. Learn more at v.org.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Hey, this is Zoe Williams, the voice of reason from KBLA Talk 1580. Listen, if you're in the market for the best prices and the fastest delivery for custom-made roller shade, LA Custom Blinds is the place to be. Schedule a free estimate and they will come to your house, measure your windows, and bring a variety of fabrics to choose from. And then come back and install it all for free. The best part is that their factory is located right here in downtown Los Angeles, so they make the shades really fast. All you gotta do is go to lacustomblinds.com and schedule your free in-home estimate right now. Tell them Zoe Williams sent you.
Moments like seeing my son's team cheer him on mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that has spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib.
Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative MBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Dr. Brenda Greene has so many accomplishments. I could just sit here and read her bio, and it would take up the whole show. She's a Ph.D. in English from NYU, a longtime literary activist, and honestly, we were talking about solutions. I just want to make sure we land hard on this before we get caught up talking about all the many things you're qualified to speak on. And that is the Black Writers Conference. Because to me, when you say it's worse than it's ever been, it seems to me these kinds of gatherings, this kind of networking and organizing is more important than ever. So speak on that if you would.
Okay, thank you so much again. The National Black Writers Conference was founded in 1986 at Medgar Evers College by the visionary leader, literary activist, novelist, John Oliver Killens. And John Oliver Killens had actually done conferences at Howard University. He had Black Writers Conferences. He lived in Brooklyn, and his vision and dream was to make sure that you have a forum every year when you bring Black writers across the country and throughout the diaspora together to talk about the state of Black literature and to discuss the issues and the themes that are in their work, to do readings and to have workshops. So he convened, was the convener of the first National Black Writers Conference at Medgar Evers College in 1986. And unfortunately, he made his transition in 1987. At that time, it was, we tried to hold it every year, but it takes a great amount of resources to hold a conference every year. And we did not have an institutional structure to host the conference. We were faculty members in the Department of Humanities. My colleague Elizabeth Nunes actually directed the conference. So we had one in 88, 91, 96, and then 2000. And she decided to step down and focus on her writing. At that point, I wrote a proposal to start the Center for Black Literature. And the Center for Black Literature has, as part of its goal, is to provide an institutional structure to host the National Black Writers Conference. We do other programs, which I can talk about later, but the major National Black Writers Conference is held every other year in even years. And then we hold a National Black Writers Symposium in the odd years. So this year, we are very excited about our upcoming 17th National Black Writers Conference, which will be held March 20th through March 23rd. And it's called, the theme is All That We Carried, Where Do We Go From Here? And it's motivated, that theme was motivated by a book Tia Miles wrote, which focused on a young woman who had been enslaved, and she passed along a sack, Ashley's sack, to her daughter because her daughter was being sold. This sack ended up being found in the 1920s by a great-great-granddaughter. And Tia Miles, who's an historian at Harvard University, decided to trace the trajectory of this sack. And she found out which families had owned it, and she examined all of the artifacts which were in the sack, which included a piece of cloth, some seeds, a letter. These are mementos that the mother wanted to pass along to her daughter. So her book focuses on the importance of memory, the importance of looking at how we preserve our past, the importance of family, how the mother-daughter relationship. She examines all of that in a narrative called All That She Carried. And so I'm looking at where are we now? Look at what is happening in this country. We cannot move forward in a vacuum. We have to look at the past. We have to acknowledge the past. We have to make sure that we are telling our stories and documenting what has happened. And then we have to look for a way forward. We can't stay in this situation. So what are the strategies that we can have to move forward? And so Taya Miles will be one of the speakers at the conference. I'll be in conversation with her on March 22nd, on March 21st. On March 20th, the first day of the conference, it will open with Michael Eric Dyson and in conversation with Sarah Jasmine Griffin, who will give the overall theme. And then we have workshops for people who are interested in understanding the craft of writing, workshops in fiction, poetry, memoir, and publishing. We have roundtable discussions. Our roundtable discussions feature different speakers in areas talking about themes such as technology, social media, and the fight for racial justice. Mark Lamont Hill will be on that panel. One of the panelists, Werner, don't have the correct last name. We have one called The Healing Power of Literature, one called Black Writers' Letters to America, like What is the State? We have Khalil Gibran Muhammad on that panel, and Pamela Newkirk, Victoria Christopher Murray. We have a panel with Crossroads looking at the people who are writing across cultural boundaries. So we have Kwame Dawes, celebrated poet from Africa and Jamaica. Edwidge Thundercat will be on that panel. A Nigerian writer, Patrice Ngongo. We also have one on the myths and realities of publishing, like what is really happening in the publishing field. You know, who is being published, who determines what gets published, and how can we expand that publishing field. And we're really pleased that we are honoring Percival Everett, who is on the West Coast. He is an author of over 15 novels. One of them is Erasure, which is one of my favorite, which imagines, he tries to get published and he can't get published telling a story, but then he writes this novel that has all these stereotypes and the publishers eat it up. We're honoring Bernice McFadden, who is the author of 10 novels, acclaimed novels, Praise Song for the Butterflies, The Book of Harlan. We're also honoring Peniel Joseph, who, as I said, just did the book, The Third Reconstruction. He also did a book that looks at the parallels between the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. And he did a really good biography on Stokely Carmichael. And we always give an institutional award to people who are maintaining our institution. We're honoring Paul Coates, who is the founder of Black Classic Press, and the independent press has been publishing Black books, some of them that have been obscured and not published in a long time. He's also, if you read The Beautiful Struggle, he is the father of Ta-Nehisi Coates. So we're really, really excited. People can go to, I encourage people to go to the Center for Black Literature website and to sign up for our newsletter. And our newsletter will keep you updated about our programs that are ongoing. It's not quite on the site yet, but we're asking you to save the date and to spread the word about the National Black Writers Conference.
Right, Center for Black
20th.
Literature, centerforblackLiterature.org, centerforblackLiterature.org/NBWC, National Black Writers Conference, NBWC. You get information there. Anyone can go, right?
Anyone can go. We do ask for a donation, but we don't turn anyone away because this is part of our mission to make sure that, and it's called a conference, but it's really a public gathering where people come together. And Sonia Sanchez, I like to use what she said. She said, writers who come here check their egos at the door because we want to have a conversation. So they may speak. They're not reading papers. They may speak. They speak on different issues and topics, and we make sure that we have at least 30 to 45 minutes to have the audience members ask questions. And many of them, I encourage, if you go to our website, you will see examples of some of the conferences that we've had before. They are featured on the YouTube page of our website. And we've been able to, have on C-SPAN, Book TV from C-SPAN has recorded a number of the sessions for our conference. In fact, they recorded all of the roundtables from the 16th National Black Writers Conference.
Right, and
that's another way to see.
You also have a virtual program, so folks are not going to be able to travel to the conference, or maybe they're not going to be able to visit, the center. You can actually log on to things, and so that's pretty cool. Ongoing, I see you have interviews up here, but there are ongoing different seminars. I'm not sure if this salon that you're having next week is in person only, or if it's also virtual.
Right. Yeah, that's in person. That's also, it's a partnership with the Brooklyn Book Festival, which is going to be in person. So that is going to be in person. But if people are in New York City area, they can come to that. And also we'll have a table at the Brooklyn Book Festival. But that's really exciting. That's an example, that literary salon, which is in celebration of the reissuing of Black Fire, which came out in the early 1970s as a result of the Black arts movement. Two of the writers who were in that original book will be present, Quincy Troop and Juanita.
Judy Juanita.
Judy Juanita will be present. But going back to the conference, our scholarly papers will be online. We have scholarly presentations, and people will be able to log on to our scholarly presentations from any part of the country. And those presentations will be focused on the writers we're honoring as well as the theme of the conference.
Yeah. We're talking with Dr. Brenda Greene. And, when we come forward, we got news, traffic, and sports right here, Dr. Greene. I want to talk to you a little bit about, the whole push for literacy. We have been talking about the erasure or the possible erasure of our history and our narrative, our literature, the banning of books. But I've been continuously shocked by the numbers around literacy, especially among Black Americans. I know you're doing some work on that. We'll touch on that and more when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
We thank you for joining us here on the Black Information Network. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest. New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez is facing a federal indictment for the second time in a decade. The Justice Department announced today the Democrat and his wife have been indicted on bribery charges. The indictment is connected to their relationship with 3 New Jersey businessmen. In 2015, Menendez faced bribery and conspiracy charges, with the case ending in a mistrial. African-American Governor Wes Moore says 16 community colleges across Maryland will receive new federal funding. The news followed his meeting yesterday with U.S. Education Secretary Miguel Cardona. The leaders were in Baltimore for the 2023 National Association of College Admission Counseling Conference. Governor Moore noted how beneficial community college was to him. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Dell Technologies and Intel are pushing what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to Now.
Is this the tackle? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man. The Dodgers kept pace with Atlanta for Major League Baseball's best record. They beat the Giants last night by 5. Designated hitter J.D. Martinez drove in 3 runs. The Dodgers are 3.5 games behind Atlanta for the best record and home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Interesting decision Saturday for college football fans in the western part of the country. The Colorado-Oregon game and UCLA's matchup at Utah both have 12:30 p.m. kickoffs. All 4 teams are 3-0 and ranked in the top 25. The UCLA-Utah game is on Fox. ABC is carrying the Colorado-Oregon game. This will be the first Pac-12 conference game for Colorado coach Deion Sanders. 5th-ranked USC has a night game Saturday at Arizona State. 7:30 kickoff on Fox. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Maisha Cairo here for KBLA Talk 1580. We're live in Los Angeles at JP Morgan Chase's Advancing Black Wealth Tour. And I'm speaking to some of the attendees today to see why it was so important for them to be here.
Yeah, this is Lathan and Tyler. Main reason that's very important for me to be here is just to leave a legacy for my kids. Black wealth, generational wealth is what we need in our community, you know. Oh, Chase, someone has to take the lead. They're showing, big business like Chase cares, and they're putting their money where their mouth is at. So it's good to see, big institution like Chase, giving a lifting hand, to the community, and you got to respect that. It makes me want to bank with Chase, and give them another look. If I go to another institution, I actually see what Chase is doing for the community.
That's right, Chase is doing their part to help advance Black wealth. For more money support, tune in every day from 12 to 2 to KBLA Talk 1580's Midday Money Chain, right here.
Hi, this is LA City Councilman Curran Price, inviting you to the 28th Annual Central Avenue Jazz Festival on September the 23rd from 11 to 7 p.m. For nearly 3 decades, the Central Avenue Jazz Festival has paid homage to the legendary Central Avenue and its influence on jazz history. Jazz, blues, and Latin jazz will be featured on 3 stages of music. Co-headlining are Hubert Laws with special guest Eloise Laws and the Billy Childs Quartet featuring Sean Jones. The day includes plenty of food, merchants, and 4 pavilions focused on youth programming, art, health and wellness, and public resources. Parking is limited, so Metro and rideshare are recommended. Hubert Laws with special guests Eloise Laws and the Billy Childs Quartet featuring Sean Jones. The day includes plenty of food, merchants, and 4 pavilions focused on youth programming, art, health and wellness, and public resources. For more information, visit CentralAveJazzFest.com. CentralAveJazzFest.com. See you on the 23rd.
You are now in Big Tobacco's Fantasyland. Welcome. It's a healthier world where they want you to believe that vaping makes quitting cigarettes a breeze. Never mind the evidence that vaping leads to using both. And if you're younger, even better, teens who vape are 3 times likelier to use cigarettes. In Big Tobacco's Fantasyland, the deadliest industry is your friend.
Big Tobacco's idea of smoke-free is a dangerous fantasy for us all. See reality at undo.org.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, you pronounce my name? Molly. Any questions? I bring many blessings with my man High Tech, and he from the Natty. We make the sky crack, feel the fly track. Get your hands up like a hijack, fists in the air for Molly. Keep them there like natural mystic or smoke when the spliff's lit. It's a revolutionary. They ask me what I'm writing for. I'm writing to show you what we fighting for. Say Talib and Talib. If it's hard, try spelling it phonetically. If not, then just let it be like Nina Simone. You probably don't listen, B. Even when we suffer losses, I count the victory. Sometimes it's far in between. I'm sad to say you got my brain crowded like sunset on a Saturday. I know my son wept cause his dad's away. Stop crying, be strong for your mama is what I had to say to my little man named Amani. Start the party, my crew hot, feel these 2 shots like the blast from a double barrel shotty. It's got to be your man high tech, Kweli, who make you rock your body.
KBLA Talk 1580, talking with Dr. Brenda M. Greene. So, Dr. Greene, I have this theory about that I talk about all the time about the children of activists, the descendants of organizers in our community. I think it's very underrated, whether it be Malcolm X being the descendant of activists in UNIA, or myself being on the radio, being the daughter of Amiri Baraka, or whether it be, the mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, being the descendant of, Chokwe Lumumba, and so on and so forth. So you being, a decades-long activist and being the mother of Talib Kweli, it fits into this theory that I have. And I wonder if you have anything to say about that, because people become discouraged. They think all the marching, all the activism added up to nothing. But everywhere I turn, I see second and third generation Black activists making a difference.
Well, you embody that yourself. The show that you're doing, you embody that. And I have to say that I think one of the things that Talib has said to me, giving him the name Talib Kweli, which means student or seeker of truth and knowledge, has a lot to live up to, he says. But when you look at, they are watching, our children are watching us, or they're reading about us, and they may not, be very actively doing something at different points in their life, but they are absorbing all of that information. I look at they're looking at what we're exposing them to, the literature we're exposing them to, the activities, those become etched in their minds. And when you surround your children with books and art and culture that represents the importance of activism and the importance of giving back and of serving, and the realization that this world, our purpose, is much larger than any single one individual, they begin to absorb that. Because I have both of my sons, I say they're activists in their own way. Talib is out there as a hip-hop artist, but my other son is a professor of constitutional law, which is Jamal K, studying the law. So I think that you cannot underestimate the impact that we have and the responsibility that we have as parents. And just continuing to press upon our children and our sons and daughters and in our schools, that you have a responsibility. And to model that for them, to think about how we're modeling for them, whether it's our nieces, our nephews, our children, we're modeling for them all the time.
You must be very proud of both of your kids. Yeah.
I am very proud. I'm very blessed. I know that I'm very blessed, and I'm very grateful. And, I do believe that nothing happens coincidentally, and that I've been given an opportunity to give back and to have that platform. Talib says to me, I have a responsibility because I'm in a space where people will hear. I have a responsibility to do this. He remember at one point he used to say, everyone called me the conscious hip-hop artist. Didn't like that. But then he said he started thinking about the fact that he has a responsibility. He's been given a platform, to call out people, to raise issues. Jamal has been given a platform to study the law and to look at how we're using it. You've been given a platform on your podcast and to bring on people who are actively involved in transformative activities and not who are not sitting back. So, I applaud you. I know that, and sometimes the children might feel, I have talked to some children who said, well, maybe that, their parents were away all the time because, there's a sacrifice.
Yeah, that's
when
real.
The parents, it's a sacrifice. But, the children, they may initially feel, okay, you weren't there, but when they think about it, they understand. Sonia Sanchez is the Sonia Sanchez, and I have that conversation all the time because, she had to travel with different universities because she was very outspoken. And so she was bringing her sons with her. But they understand, and they're protective, and they respect that. So I think that our sons and daughters end up respecting that. They may not follow the same path, but we've given them some parameters and the culture to say that you should think about what you're going to do, and we're going to be there and support you.
Yeah. I'm constantly stunned whenever I look at the data about literacy in this country among Black Americans especially, but overall, actually, it's really pretty terrible. And I know this is a space you've worked in. It worries me more now because of the fact that we do have social media and people listening to people say stuff. If your literacy is shaky, then you're not going to be fact-checking what they just said as easily. And when I think about this movement of banning books, this movement of limiting what we're able to teach in high school and college, and you're functioning on a really high level, obviously academically, but you're also involved in the activism around literacy. So put that in perspective for me, if you would.
Okay. Well, this is something that's very dear to my heart. I studied, as you said, my Ph.D. was in teaching composition. And I've always believed in centering, that we are teaching students. We're not teaching the subject. So how do we do that? How do we provide a holistic experience to young people? One of our major programs at the Center for Black Literature is called Re-Envisioning Our Lives Through Literature, which is using the literary arts to get students to engage with text, to read. We have to give our students meaningful reading experiences. We have to come up with creative ways to engage them. So to get them to not only read, but to see the purpose for reading and to create their own text, to create their own stories, their poetry, their essays, to look at the arts in a more holistic way. Because the arts are related, the literary arts, the visual arts, the performance arts, to give them those opportunities to express themselves. Because our students are very talented. And there is the schools don't always, in focusing on test taking, they miss the mark. Because people may be able to give you rote answers to something. But if they're not engaged, if they're not stimulated intellectually, it's not going to go but so far. So we bring teaching artists into the classrooms who work with teachers to create, have students create their stories. They create an anthology. They do a showcase, a performance, and we use themes like the last year's theme was Lest We Forget. We can't forget. So they read novels around speculative fiction, which is really the fiction is like Walter Mosley, the writer, says that's the fiction that many Black writers can really relate to because it really gives you a way to imagine other worlds. But to look back at some books like Octavia Butler, Parable of the Sower, they read about Tony Medina's book, and I'm blocking on the name, but a young man who ends up getting shot by the police, but then he comes back to life, and what can they do? What can he do? So they're reading books that have these themes, and then they're creating their own text around it. One of the things we did in celebration of our 20 years was have a writing contest. We partnered with the National Council of Teachers of English, and we had a writing contest where we gave scholarships to 2 college students and 2 high school students who wrote essays on activism. Another theme we had was Let's Activate. So we are trying to get our students to be creative, and that is going to impact their literacy. That's going to impact their analytical skills, their writing skills, their speaking skills, all of that. And we like to do in-person programs because we want to involve the teachers. Many teachers who in the schools have themselves not read books by Black and Latino writers.
Yeah, that's real. We're talking with Dr. Brenda Greene and continuing the conversation. When we come forward, you know where you are? KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
When you're young, life is full of choices. Don't let opioids like highly addictive and deadly fentanyl take away your life with just one wrong pill. Addiction is a disease that can affect anyone at any age. But there is a choice to get help for this disease. Find medically proven treatment options, including virtual, at choosemat.org.
Extended Family Outreach Ministry presents Praise Fest 2023, Worthy to be Praised Conference and Concert, September 23rd, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Redondo Beach Performing Arts Center. Morning worship, keynote address, and conference featuring women in creative arts ministry and leadership sharing our stories, His glory, giving all praise, honor, thanksgiving, and glory to God. Don't miss the afternoon Stand Up and Sing Praises concert with the Katinas, gospel singer Babby Mason, 3 daughters, and Kevin Click. That's Praise Fest 2023, Worthy to be Praised Conference and Concert, September 23rd, Redondo Beach Performing Arts Center. For more information and tickets, go to PraiseFest 2023 at Eventbrite.com. Plus, for the next 48 hours, use promo code KBLA48 to get your tickets free. You do not want to miss this day of praise. That's PraiseFest 2023 at Eventbrite.com.
Be ready for extreme heat in your area. On days when extreme heat is expected, take action to keep your home as cool as possible. Set your air conditioner to 78 degrees. If AC isn't available, close blinds and curtains on all windows and run fans counterclockwise. Or find your nearest cooling center. Transportation help may be available. Learn more at heatreadyca.com. Brought to you by the state of California.
You're listening to K-Drip, where we play all the best classic water-wasting hits like Sprinklers in the Rain and Leaky Faucets. They're tunes from another time because now that we face a hotter, drier future, every drop counts. Despite an extremely wet winter, keep using less water, fixing leaks, and reusing indoor water for your garden. Visit SaveOurWater.com for more ways to conserve. Up next, brushing your teeth with the water on. K-Drip.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
And we're talking with the director of the Center for Black Literature. It's been around for 21 years, Dr. Brenda Greene. You know, it seems like so key right now to even have a Center for Black Literature. How can we support the work that you're doing, and how can we take advantage of, of the work that you're doing?
Thank you so much again. And I just encourage people to support Black writers by attending the conferences that we host, attending our literary programs. I have a book club. We have a book club. We meet the last Wednesday at every month. You can, the easiest way to support writers, of course, is to make sure that you are purchasing their books. If you don't see the books in a bookstore, which might have all the books in one area, some bookstores, they have all the Black and Latino books in one area, which means they miss a lot of people, or sometimes they have them spread throughout. Ask for the book. Support independent publishers, support independent Black bookstores. I encourage, and we have a small number of independent publishers. Third World Press, founded by Hakeem Mahabudi, is the oldest in the country.
Yeah, I asked him to do my show one time, back when my dad was still alive, and he said, "I'll do your show when you read every one of my books." So I'm still working on that. It might be a while before he does the show if I have to read every one of your books. But you know,
he has really supported. Yeah, so as I said, go to our website and sign up for our newsletter and spread the word. And you know, and don't only think that you have to encourage people who are in the literary circles. I mean, I think, you know, you're going to, in your community organizations, in your schools, in your churches, wherever you are, spread the word about what we're doing. Because our mission is to support the general public, not just people who are interested in literature and writing. And that's why we have such a range of programs. There's something for our elders. That's something people can do virtually. We have a writing workshop, the Dr. Edith Rock writing workshop for elders, and they meet biweekly. They publish a journal. They can join our book club virtually. That's a way of supporting. And as I said, making sure that they share. When you see flyers, spread that out. And I thank you for your support, because this really helps to get the word out to a national audience. I mean, my vision is to have satellite Black Writers conferences around the country. We had started that, and we had to pull back. But as we prepare for the conference, to have, maybe can look at having a satellite of the conference in California, in Boston, in Atlanta, so that we are. You may not come to the big conference, but you have a way to interface with us and to support us in different ways on our satellite programs. And made me realize we have to make sure and get a satellite program out on the West Coast.
Well, Dr. Greene, it is weird. You said it's worse than it's ever been, but then at the same time, I feel like in some areas it's better than it's ever been, because, the protesting and marching that we've done has opened doors, has opened eyes. People are getting more conscious. That's why there's this so-called war on wokeness. We have, we are seeing local victories in terms of the requirement of ethnic studies. We have that now in the state of California. We have that in Southern California schools. We have it popping up in school districts and states across the country. So it's a weird time. It's like opportunity, but also, literally the rise of fascism. So when we continue this conversation, I guess you'll leave us with some thoughts today about, how to navigate this space of extreme opportunity, but also extreme oppression, from the standpoint of a creative. That's next on KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Dominique DePrima. We can all fall into the trap of mindlessly spending sometimes. I know I do it. But one tip for staying on track is when you have an impromptu purchase that comes up, try making a habit of taking a quick look at your bank account balance before you buy it. It's not just about seeing how much you have in your checking account. Just looking at your account might put the urge to make that impulse purchase into perspective and help you make better choices that'll benefit you for the long term. Whatever your financial goals, U.S. Bank Access Commitment Initiatives can help support you in reaching them. Access your financial goals at usbank.com/access. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
Y'all gotta try that for Bree's car.
Just right, just right, just right. Yeah. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, all over Bree's car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah. Breathe happy for Breeze. La 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 la.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DePrima on First Things First.
Dr. Brenda Greene, you've been doing this for a minute as a literary activist, as a writer, as a professor, and co-founder of the Center for Black Literature. In these times, which I see as extreme opportunity, but also extreme challenge, how do we navigate this space as writers, as artists, as activists?
Well, I'm going to go back to the fact that we have to continue to persist and to resist, whether it is in writing and performance. And we have to really support each other. I think that's the strongest way, is to look at how we, from our personal spaces or from an organizational space, we create partnerships with other people so that we create a win-win situation where we're coming together and coming together to resist the silencing and the distortions that we see in our literature, in our history, in our culture. So, we do partnerships with the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture, with the Fiction Center, with PEN America. We create ways to support each other. And, we have to encourage our young people to write and encourage people to tell their stories. We need more stories told from our perspectives. One of the things we do, we have a writer's workshop, the Wild Seeds Writer's Workshop, which gives you an opportunity, if you're working on something, to tell your own story, to make sure that becomes available. There are multiple stories, and we have to show the complexity of our experience in America. It's not one way. We have varying voices, varying perspectives, and we do that by creating spaces where we're coming together and collaborating.
Love that. Dr. Brenda M. Greene, thank you so much for being with me, for spending the hour with us this morning. It's much appreciated.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the work that you're doing to make sure that these issues are raised.
CenterforblackLiterature.org, centerforblackLiterature.org. Something to do productive this weekend in between your not so productive things. Tavis Smiley, the best of Tavis Smiley, is up next. Of course, let's conversate. I know it's not a word. All weekend on the social media, KBLA 1580, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm also at DePrima Radio, DIPRIMA. I'm Dominique DePrima. History is now, and we are making it together. Until next time, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
We thank you for joining us here on the Black Information Network. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest. New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez is facing a federal indictment for the second time in a decade. The Justice Department announced today the Democrat and his wife have been indicted on bribery charges. The indictment is connected to their relationship with 3 New Jersey businessmen. In 2015, Menendez faced bribery and conspiracy charges, with the case ending in a mistrial. African-American Governor Wes Moore says 16 community colleges colleges across Maryland will receive new federal funding. The news followed his meeting yesterday with U.S. Education Secretary Miguel Cardona. The leaders were in Baltimore for the 2023 National Association of College Admission Counseling Conference. Governor Moore noted how beneficial community college was to him. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Dell Technologies and Intel are pushing what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to